thing in my backyard. Okay, so I recently moved because I felt I needed a change in my life, and not to mention my old neighborhood was getting pretty rough. So I decided to get a new house in an upper-class neighborhood. As you know, houses with a bigger price range usually have nicer backyards, and at the time I wanted a nice shed or something in my backyard to keep all of my art supplies, since it was a hobby of mine. Not only did my new house have a shed, it also had a sort of small forest in the back. My first instinct was to explore it. I've always loved nature and thought I could maybe get some inspiration for my art, so I opened my backyard gate and started in the woods. It was nice calming, although it was kind of hard to walk because sticks were overlapping the grass. The place always looks so pretty in the daytime, but I can really say the same for night. I have a dog who I usually walk right before I go to bed, so I would take in the backyard to play and try it herself out before going to bed. My backyard was nice, but I had a lot of trees. Except for this one part in the middle of my backyard, there was a gap where no trees would grow. All you could see was the pitch-black forest. It always made me feel a bit uneasy, though. Particularly one night, my dog was barking so bad even though I took her out 2 minutes ago. So to keep her quiet, I took her out again. For some reason, that little gap was her favorite place to be. As soon as we got outside, her dragged me over there. But this time she didn't seem happy. She kept barking in the direction of the gap that leads into woods, and her barks kept getting louder and louder. My dog is pretty big, so it was quite hard to get her to come back inside once girl starting barking. But she was well trained and would usually listen to me. At this point, my curiosity starting to get the better of me. I tried to focus my eyes really hard to maybe make up an image of why my dog was so angry. Maybe it was a squirrel, I thought to myself, but for a second I thought could make out a figure of something looking directly at me. Me being me, I don't really get scared easily, and if there was something in my backyard I was determined to find out, so I yelled, "Why are you hiding?" With no reply, my dog stopped barking. And that was a little unsettling to me. The worst part is, now every time I walk my dog, she goes onto that exact spot and bark. She will only stop when I acknowledge something is there. I keep her axe in my shed now, though I don't know if that really benefits me. What should I do? Ghost. In my house, one night only. I had a ghost in the house one night. Just one night. At the time, I lived alone, still do, still in the same house. I was 35 and had been living in my home for about 2 or 3 years. Nothing out of the ordinary in those years. One night I was reading in bed. It was an average-sized bedroom, and my bed faced the door. Bedroom door was open. I had no pets at the time, and no reason to close the bedroom door. I read most nights before bed. So I was sitting up in bed, light on, reading. But I had the creepy feeling I was being watched. I couldn't get over it. I'd be studying the words, trying to immerse myself in the story, but I could not get over the feeling I was being watched. I kept looking up. I peered into the main area of the house, all dark, all lights out. Nothing. No noise, no light. I locked the front and back doors just like I did every night. I live in Minneapolis, so this was not some remote, isolated town. I could not read my book. That feeling of being watched or stared at kept growing and growing. Ever watched TV with someone and they're just staring at you while you stare at the TV? You don't even need to turn to them because you can feel their eyes on you. Funny thing is, I didn't feel threatened. Not exactly. I didn't like the sensation. It was completely creeping me out, but I didn't feel like I was going to be attacked. I tried shaking it off, but I couldn't read. So I turned off the light and tried to sleep, but that just made the sensation worse. The thing watching me never felt like it was in my bedroom. Always just beyond the bedroom door in the darkness of the rest of the house. After a few minutes of this intense feeling, I knew I couldn't fall asleep. I realized I had to do what I had to do. make sure there was nobody in the house. What if this was some survival instinct, and there was a person hiding in my home who I was ignoring? This was pre-cell phones, or I promise you, I would have texted a friend to come over right away. I could have called someone, I guess, but I did something more stupid. Got up, turned on the lights in the dining room. Nobody there. Went back to bed, laughing at myself for being ridiculous. Turned out the light. Immediately, the sensation was back and equally as strong. I was being watched. I tried to ignore it. I really did. Nope, not gonna happen. Got up, turned on the lights. I got my softball bat and I walked the entire house. I think this is the bravest, stupidest thing I've ever done in my entire life. I went into every room and turned on every light. I knew I wouldn't sleep if I didn't check every single closet, every person-sized cubbyhole. I went into the basement. I looked behind the basement stairs. I double-checked front and back doors. Both were locked. All windows were secured. My upstairs wasn't finished at the time, under renovations, but I went up there and looked in every nook and cranny. Probably a full hour had passed since I started noticing the sensation, reading in bed. If someone were hiding in my house and meant me harm, I seriously doubt a chunky 35-year-old with an aluminum bat would have done much harm, so that was dumb of me. But I felt very confident I was alone in the house. This was my mind playing tricks on me. The house was empty. I was now 100% sure. I went back to my bedroom, all the lights in the house off except the bedside light. I was still rattled, freaked out that I thought walking the house was necessary in the first place. I mean, who does that? I laughed at myself for freaking out. Started reading. It was back. I was being watched. It was at this point I started to pay greater attention to the being watched feeling. Did I feel in danger? No. Did I feel an evil spirit? No. Not exactly. I didn't like this feeling at all, not one bit. But I didn't feel like it was whispering, kill, 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 under its hell breath either. It also felt, and the hair is going up on my neck as I type this, intentional. It was a presence, and it wanted me to know it was a presence. It wasn't trying to scare me, but it was trying to communicate its presence. I called out to the dark living room, I don't want you here. Please go away. Nothing changed. I yelled other phrases like, I don't know what you want, and even, go into the light. Got that from the Poltergeist movie, the original one. This now strikes me as a dumb thing to yell, but I didn't know what else to do. I can't say I believed in ghosts. Can't say I didn't. I've had weird, freaky things happen in life, but nothing like this intentional. I was being watched. Okay, I said to myself. Fine. No sleep tonight. I read my book to the best of my ability, knowing there was no one in the house with me. I woke up in the morning with the bedroom light on and the book on my chest. The last time I looked at the clock was around 4:01 a.m. In the morning, my eyes burned in that I didn't sleep way, and I felt hungover, exhausted from tension. The feeling of being watched was also gone. I walked around the house and it felt like it did every day, just normal. I called in sick to work and slept until noon. Since I had the day off, that afternoon I did house projects. I was in the middle of cleaning out a filing cabinet, throwing out old papers and making room for new stuff, when my phone rang. I was sitting on the floor, papers all around me. The woman said, "Is this Eddie Oahu?" I confirmed. I didn't recognize her voice. This was way before constant telemarketers calling. If this happened today, I would have just hung up rather than answering. She said, "I'm a friend of Richard. Baug. I am very sorry to tell you that he died yesterday afternoon after a lingering illness. You were one of the friends he wanted notified." Richard and I had been friends in college. He had once expressed he had deep romantic feelings for me, but I did not return them. We stayed friends, but eventually drifted apart, partially due to his clubbing lifestyle. He wanted flashy clothes and jewelry, and I wanted to garden and read books. No drama, just some friends you don't keep up with. But he was a good man, and we had several years of a really nice friendship. I hadn't been in touch since I moved to Minneapolis. I was a little surprised I was on his call list, actually. The minute she said he had died, I knew. I knew that it was Richard in my home the previous night. I knew it. It all made perfect sense. The idea of being watched, of it not being dangerous, but just a presence, as if he wanted me to know he was there. It was an intensity without malice. Richard said goodbye. I've never felt anything like that in the house ever again.